The story of Heavenly Delusion is set in a post-apocalyptic Japan where monsters known as man-eaters roam around the country eating people. Despite the state of the world, heaven is built for children where robots are their teachers. Children think that this heaven is all that exists in this world and there is nothing outside. One of the students there called Tokyo asks Mimiheim about what she is daydreaming about. Mimiheim tells Tokyo that they have a test today. Tokyo is shocked to hear that as there was no test announced. During the class, the robot teacher tells the students that they have a test today and everyone is shocked to hear this. Elsewhere, a girl Cuckoo asks Kona about the drawing he is making and asks about his reason to give a fish a couple of hands. She asks Kona to give her the drawing when it is complete, which Rona agrees to. As Tokyo is attempting a quiz test on a tablet, he sees a question pop up asking him if he wants to see the world outside of heaven's walls. In the outside world, a girl and a boy called Kiriko and Mero roam around the apocalyptic world in search of supplies. In a house, Kiriko finds a toilet and gets happy knowing that she will take a proper dump after a long time. As they are roaming around the house, they end up seeing some dead bodies and think that they must have died due to starvation as there is no food around there. Later, Kiriko makes something using canned foods and the weed that is growing everywhere. They take a bite and get immediately disgusted because of the bitterness of the weed plant. Kiriko is working as Maru's bodyguard and wants to search for a friend called Robin and a person she only knows as Duck. Maru is supposed to inject something into a person that looks exactly like him and lives in a place called Heaven. As they are roaming, they are suddenly surrounded by a bunch of guns who have seen a woman after a long time. Kiriko takes out her gun in order to scare them away. As they were going back, one of the goons realizes that Kiriko's gun is fake and immediately tells everyone to go after them. Kiriko climbs up the fence while Maru beats the living hell out of the other goons. Kiriko uses her gun and shoots a beam that instantly melts a pole, causing it to almost fall on the goons. She then goes with the goons along with Maru and forces them to charge the batteries of her gun. While she is there, she asks the goons about heaven. One of them tells Kiriko that there is a place that some people call heaven where tomatoes are grown everywhere. At heaven, Mimihima asks Tokyo if she thinks that there is a place outside these walls. At night, Tokyo is staring at the wall in the ground wondering if there actually is a place outside this. The director of the facility soon appears and tells Tokyo that there is indeed a place outside these walls, however she describes it as hell where monsters roam around everywhere. Before she tells this to Tokyo, her assistants try to stop her but the director says that they are bound to find out anyway. Meanwhile, Kiriko and Maru come across a hotel and decide to stay in a room for the night. Kiriko asks the owner if she knows about the person she is looking for but she has no idea. They eat the food prepared by the owner at night and go to sleep. While they are sleeping, a Mainator appears on the window of the owner's room. Tokyo is standing outside in the school's building talking with his friend Terao, who is suffering from an illness. After they are done talking, she offers Terao to take him back to his room but Terao denies it and goes back on her own. Afterward, she sees Cuckoo with one of Kona's art and asks him to give it to him as he promised to give it to her. When Cuckoo denies, she apologizes and goes to Kona. She complains to Kona about the drawing he gave to Cuckoo but Kona just tells her that he will give the next one to her. Meanwhile, a boy named Shiro goes to his room after taking his bath and checks his tablet to see that Mimiheim has sent a naked picture of herself to him. Meanwhile, Kiriko and Maru wake up from their sleep and try to follow the monster. As Kiriko is about to deliver a killing blow to the Mainator, the owner stops her by saying that the Mainator is his son. She explains that her son Yudo went inside the Mainator and became him. As she is trying to persuade them to not harm the Mainator slices her into pieces and eats her. Maru closes in on the Mainator and touches it. He uses his ability to transfer his body inside of the Mainator, which Maru calls a Haruko. He destroys Haruko's core, causing it to perish. Afterward, they use a makeshift raft to cross a large body of water to reach the place that one of the goons called Heaven. On their way, Kiriko reveals that she received her weapon from a girl named Mikura, right before she died of the same illness which Terao has. Mikura told Kiriko about the heavens and gave the injection to a boy there that looks the same as him. In heaven, a man approaches Kiriko and asks her if she is the famous electric cart racer. Even though she is, they deny it and send the man away. During their stay there, they realize that it is not the heaven they are looking for. Later, they see a box with the same symbol that Kiriko has on her gun. Kiriko's fanboy tells her that the box usually comes from Tokyo by ship. They then decide to go on the ship in order to search for this heaven. On the ship, Maru tells Kiriko that he likes her but Kiriko tells him that she has the mind of a man despite having a female's body. 5 years ago, Kiriko used to be an electro kart racer and made her living through it. As she is racing, Her brother Haruki is getting beaten up by some man as he found out they are selling fake tickets. Robin comes in Haruki's defense and defeats the scammers. As a prize for catching them, Robin gives his jacket to Haruki. Kuriko arrives after completing the race and reveals that she has lost the race. At night, Haruki goes with the people that are hunting a Maneater. He manages to kill the Maneater using his crossbow. He then rushes to watch his sister's race from a high place. He uses his binoculars and looks around only to find another Maneater that can turn invisible. When no one listens to him, he decides to go after the Maneater alone as it is going to intercept the kart racers. He uses his crossbow on the Maneater, but it inflicts no damage on the monster. In a moment of desperation, he takes out his knife and goes after the Maneater but ends up getting captured by it. Kuriko arrives there and sees her brother getting eaten by the monster. She uses her cart to free Haruki, but her attempt fails. She then goes to the Maneater and pulls out Haruki from its mouth only to realize that all of his limbs and lower body has been eaten. Haruki sees her sister crying for him and closes his eyes. Later he wakes up and realizes that he is in her sister's body. The nurse tells Kiriki, who is, in fact, Haruki, that they were on the verge of dying and Doc could only save one of them. The reason Kuriko is chasing Doc is that she was just alright when Haruki was eaten by the Maneaters and wants to know what happened to her. She goes around looking for Doc and Robin but fails every time. Eventually, 4 years later, she stumbled upon Maru. Maru doesn't know what to call her after hearing her story. As they were talking, a person on the ship screamed as he saw a Maneater fish. Soon, it appears in front of Kiriki and Maru as well. Kuriko goes into a vent in the outer wall of heaven in order to see some babies with cuckoo. In the ship, Kuriko realizes that the Maneater is a fish that is using a temporary body of water to survive on land. She asks the ship owners if she can lure the monster into the ship's basement as she has realized that they are storing marijuana there. Even though they don't want to, they give Kuriko and Maru permission to go there. Once they reach there, the Maneater follows them as well, but the water around it disappears because of the high amount of marijuana. After the Maneater is immobilized, Moore jumps in and eliminates completely. Meanwhile, Cuckoo and Tokyo are able to get inside the room with the babies. They are non-human kids inside that room. Suddenly an alarm goes off and Cuckoo goes up the stairs. Since Tokyo can't go that high, Cuckoo grabs his hand and Tokyo jumps at the vent by using momentum from kicking at the wall. However, Tokyo leaves a big footprint on one of the balls. Meanwhile, Maru and Kuriko reach the surface. The captain of the ship tries to give some money to them, but Kuriko refuses to talk the money and asks him about the heaven and logo instead. They go inside an abandoned building and luckily find some food there. Shiro privately talks with Nihime and expresses his love for him. Elsewhere, Tokyo is talking with Terao. Terao gets up from the bed a little and tries to kiss her but ends up making him startled. Seeing home like that, Kota goes to cheer up Tokyo. He tells him that touching each other is a sign of affection and he shouldn't be ashamed by it. Afterward, Tokyo and Kona express their love for each other. When Tokyo goes back to her room, an announcement is made only in his room telling her to come to Terao's room. Terao sends all the nurses and doctors away as he wants to talk with Tokyo alone. He apologizes to Tokyo for trying to kiss her yesterday and tells her to run away from the school as it is dangerous. Maru and Kuriko go to a town filled with people and do their own stuff. Kuriko is trying to sell stuff to get money while Maru is playing some arcade games. As he is playing, he is surrounded by a bunch of goons. One thing led to another and he started fighting with bullies. Maru gets hit in the face when he apologizes to one of the goons and gets his adult teeth broken. He then proceeds to brutally beat up everyone. One guy almost escapes, but Kuriko arrives and takes care of them. Kuriko knows that Maru isn't the type to go around picking fights. She then takes him to a safe place in a flashback. Maru reveals that he was born in the same year when the disaster that destroyed Japan happened. He lived with a couple of kids and had adults to take care of him. When he got 7, the place shut down and they were placed in groups. When their group leader gets kicked, he and the others in his group join the group of their leader's killer. Later he joins Mikura, who shows Maru how to use his ability. Kuriko is hearing Maru's story again and again just so he can remember some intricate knowledge that will happen. She tells Maru to stay in the place as people are looking for him while she will go to sell books. In a flashback, Robin tells Harukari and his friends that a group of people is abducting children who are talented and instructs them to act dumb if they see anyone suspicious. After she has sold the books, Kuriko goes back to the apartment she was living in and finds out that Maru isn't there. She gets a panic attack thinking that something happened to Maru, but he just comes from the room beside the one they are sleeping in and reveals that he was having a good time whilst watching erotic magazines. Maru then tries to comfort Kuriko and hugs her, but Kuriko tells him that she feels something hard. Back in heaven, a doctor finds a footprint in the laboratory. She goes to check out the shoe patterns of other students. Later, Terao is announced to be dead. All the students gather around Terao and offer flowers. Tokyo asks Kona if her friend that had committed suicide had the same disease. The director thinks that it is their fault that Asura and Terao died. In his room, Tokyo is puking repeatedly and thinks that he is getting sick too. Meanwhile, Maru is checking out the map that Kiriko has bought and sees a place with 100% clear water and decides to go there. As they were talking, one of the people that were on the ship arrived at their door and asked for protection. He is going to the Immortal Order where a doctor uses Mainator parts and fuses them with humans. When he takes out the Mainator to show to the Do, Maru reveals that the Mainator parts have deteriorated. Later, Kiriko and Maru are on their way to the 100% water area. In heaven, a doctor takes the director to show her that something strange has appeared in his place after his body is cremated. On their way, Kiriko and Maru encounter a little girl called Totori who runs a hotel. Since they don't need a room, Maru denies the little girl's offer to stay in a room, but Kiriko decides to buy a room nonetheless so they can put their luggage there and help the little girl at the same time. They go to an underground area with a lot of water and realize that it is not clean as it was portrayed on the map. They see two men laying almost dead in Mainator. One of those two men is Totori's boss and he is still breathing despite his horrendous wounds. The two quickly run towards the surface in order to get away from the Mainator. As the Mainator is chasing Maru, Kiriko uses her gun to make a pillar fall on top of the Mainator. Maru gets in close to eliminate the Mainator but realizes that it is a real bear. They climb up to a higher area in order to escape from the bear. While they are sitting there, Kiriko drops one of the batteries of her gun. Since the bear isn't there, she offers Maru that he can touch her chest if he recovers the battery. Maru goes in to get the battery even before she could complete her sentence. As he grabs the battery, the bear starts chasing after him again, but he manages to get back on top. Later, Maru drops to the ground and catches Kiriko, who jumps from the high place as well. As the bear got closer to them, Kiriko killed it with one shot to the head. One of the men that was almost dead in the underground area was the boss of the little hotel owner girl. Later, Kiriko reveals that someone tried to trap them by labeling the 100% safe water area. Later, they decide to get a room in the little girl's hotel. There, Maru approaches Kiriko and tells her to fulfill her promise. As he unzipped her jacket, Totori comes and tells them that the place isn't for doing the stuff that they were doing. She forces Maru to come to her room and tries to have sex with him. When Maru grabs her chest, he is able to transport his arm inside her as he does with Mainators to destroy the core. He calls for Kiriko but is unable to explain the weird situation they are in. The next day, the Totori boss failed to survive his wounds, so she is depressed now. Maru and Kiriko try to cheer her up before going their own way. Maru and Kiriko catch a bunch of fish and spend the night in an abandoned building. Later, the two visit an organization thinking that they are the Immortal Order, but this organization is called the Liviamen. They exist to oppose the work that the Immortal Order does as according to them. The Dr. Uzami combines bodies with metal parts despite their will and does experiments on humans. The leader of Liviamen tells everyone that she has seen a girl with no limbs surrounded by hundreds of machines, and that girl tells the leader to let her die. Later, the leader Mizuhashi addresses everyone in her group and tells them that they don't need any kind of machine to protect them. Kiriko and Maru get a commission to destroy a Mainator in a basement. They encounter little Mainators before coming across the main body. However, its body is in a dormant state as it didn't get any food. Looking at the monster, Kiriko gets a hallucination in which she and Maru are killed by small man-eaters. However, she is woken up by Maru, who was kissing her. Maru then destroys the main body along with the little ones. After they are done, Dr. Uzami from the Immortal Order arrives and tells the two that he needs their help to kill someone. The Liviamen are marching towards the Immortal Order, demanding them to stop their human experiments. When one of their members throws a stone at the Immortal Order, they threw it back. Mizuhashi gets knocked down by the stone and hits her head. Mizuhashi is then revealed to be dead, and all the members now equip weapons to eliminate the Immortal Order. Meanwhile, Dr. Uzami brings Maru and Kiriko to the Immortal Order. They see a bunch of people that have metal parts in place of their missing limbs. They see that the patients respect Uzami and are constantly asking him different stuff regarding their metal limbs. Uzami then takes them to the patient that is covered in machines. He tells the two that the patient there has an illness that will make her turn into a Mainator when she dies. It is the same illness that Taro had. Uzami has created this whole facility just to prolong her life so she doesn't convert into a Mainator, and even cut parts of her body in order to slow down the infection. He asks Maru to kill her so that she won't turn into a Mainator afterward. Uzami reveals that the girl can talk through a tablet attached to her. The girl wishes to see the sky one last time before she dies. They take the girl outside so she can see the sky. After she had her fill, Maru kills the girl. Uzami thinks that maybe he has done her injustice by making her suffer for so long. He wonders that maybe he should have just let her convert into a Mainator. Before she died, the girl wrote on her tablet that she loves Uzami and is thankful to him for allowing her to die like a human. Reading this, Uzami bursts into tears. Later, the Immortal Order is forced to change their place as the Liviamen broke in at their place. Uzami points to a possible settlement and tells his men to go there while he performs a burial for the girl. Uzami tells Maru and Kiriko that all the facilities in the Immortal Order were made for the little girl. When he was taking care of her, a man arrived and he made a prosthetic hand. Soon people started to come one after another. However, he only made the metal limbs for people because the girl liked seeing him make these stuff. Uzami goes to the rooftop of a building to perform the burial while Maru and Kiriko are staying down. In the meantime, Kiriko asks the Immortal Order people if they have seen Robin or Doc. The members tell him that he worked here for some time but went after 2 years ago. After this, the two sit together waiting for Uzami to come down, but little do they know, Uzami intends to commit suicide and die with the girl. When the two hear the gunshot, they immediately rush to the rooftop, but they are too late. Maru blames himself and says that his hands only bring death. Kiriko tries to comfort him and says that he kills Mainators and that ultimately saves the lives of everyone. In the past, Kona spends most of his time with Asura. One night Asura tells Kona that she knows about the reason for her existence and says goodbye to Kona. Kona tries to chase after him but finds out that she has committed suicide. After her death, Tokyo and the others approached Kona in order to cheer him. In the present, Tokyo is sleeping on Kona's lap. Kona gets a premonition that the person who killed Asura is coming after Tokyo next. While Maru and Kiriko are making their way through the city, they experience a really strong earthquake. They come across a man called Juichi who was trying to loot the buildings that fell down because of the earthquake. In heaven, Tokyo is revealed to be pregnant and is taken by the teachers inside the restricted zone of heaven where students don't go. For some cash, Juichi tells the two that there are no solid reasons for what caused the great disaster that destroyed the earth. He tells them another story for more cash and says that he was trapped in a school that was closed down with walls. The school was mostly controlled by women. They would kidnap healthy and pretty men and use them as breeding pigs. If a girl is born, she is taken by the authority while a boy is sent to be raised by the men who are trapped there. Once his child was born, he tried to escape with the woman that birthed his child and another woman who is in a relationship with her. However, only Juichi managed to escape while the women were hung from the fence as an example to those who might think about running. After he makes some money from them, Juichi goes away in his car. When he moves the car away, Kiriki sees on a board that the symbol on her gun belongs to the Takahara Academy, which we have been calling Heaven. They go to the abandoned building that was used by that school and find nothing there except a welcome message from the director on a piece of paper. Juichi comes back to them and proves what he said by showing them his real tattoo. Together, they decide to visit the facility of the school in which Juichi was held and find his child. Not knowing what sorts of people are in Ibaraki, they decide to give Maru a girl makeover while they are exploring the area. As they were exploring the facility, everything around them suddenly started to freeze. Maru senses that a Mainator is above and tells Kiriko to shoot upwards. The freezing is stopped when she displaces the monster using the bullet. As they are getting chased by the Mainator, Kiriko stores some water in her mouth and goes towards the Mainator. She throws the water from where the freezing spell is coming from and shoots at the monster, causing it to be divided into 2 pieces. However, the piece with the core managed to escape them. They meet up again with Juichi and tell him that there was no person in the facility. As they were talking, some people arrive that Juichi know from the school. They immediately recognize him and tell him that his child is safe and healthy. They drive towards their hideout and meet up with Juichi's son after all. At night while they are speaking, the Mainator with the ice powers starts to attack everyone. Kiriko takes the child and runs away, but she is unable to get away from the cold. Maru arrives and puts the baby away from her. They soon realize that Juichi's child Jugo is actually the Mainator. The next day, Juichi tells Maru and Kiriko to take his car as he has no reason to travel anymore. That night, Juichi kills one of the people that recognized him earlier as he was the one that alerted everyone about his escape from the facility. He then takes Jugo and goes away in a new car. Meanwhile, in heaven, new students have joined the facility. The time of Tokyo's delivery finally arrives and her child is born. Kona is the father of this child, however it isn't revealed to the authorities. The director is told by Sakota that the new students also have a probability to get the illness. Hearing this, the director says that they will have to wager everything on Tokyo's child as he is a child born by 2 children unlike those who are birthed by Mina. Mina is the robot mastermind that controls this whole facility like it is a part of her whole body. The director wants to transplant his brain into Tokyo's child, but it isn't possible until the child is at least 13 years only. So instead she will become Miss Aoshima until the child grows of age. Sakota doesn't agree with it, but there is no one that can stop the director. Meanwhile, Maru sees smoke coming from a distance and tells Kuriko about it. Kuriko checks the map and realizes that it is coming from the Ibaraki facility where Robin happens to be working. In heaven, approaches a young girl called Oma who is sitting alone in a corner. Oma can cause people to hallucinate their greatest fears when they look into her eyes. When Mimahime takes off her glasses, her worst fears become real and she gets stabbed by a bunch of sharp objects. After she wakes up, she goes to meet with Kona, who is ill as he is facing the same pain which Tokyo is facing. Mimahime tells him that she can see things that other people don't. She can see things floating in the sky and gets premonitions about the future, however she doesn't know when it will happen as it can take seconds or even years. Kona tells her that everyone gets these premonitions, but hers are way stronger than anybody else. Afterward, Mimahime goes outside and sees Oma waiting for her outside with her handkerchief. Obama apologizes to Mimahime and starts crying. Mimahime takes off her glasses again, but this time she faces her fears and removes them. The next day, all the students are summoned to the swimming pool, and Tokyo comes there for a brief time too. He still has some days until he can join back with others. When all students are gathered, a robot teacher tells the student that they are going to take a very long test, where they will have to reach the outside, and if they ever lose airway, then they should go to a place that they think is the correct one. The students are left confused with this taste, while some of them have a really bad feeling about it. In the lab where children are kept, Sakota is feeding Tokyo's child. The camera pans out and it is revealed that Tokyo had twins, or are they even twins? Mina shuts down most of her functions, causing the facility to stop most of its features. As this is happening, all the students are in the playground with the little one speaking danger continuously while looking up. The younger students then run away and a huge object comes through the school, or heaven's roof. Meanwhile, Kuriko and Maru teach a market before the Ibaraki facility and are surprised to see that everything is available here, including delicious food. They try to buy some food and give paper money for it. The shopkeeper tells them that chips are used in this town as a currency, and they can get 5 chips when they register as a traveler in the Ministry of Reconstruction. When they get registered, they each receive 5 chips instead. Kuriko asks the worker about Robin and realizes that he works there. She claims to be her family. She is scheduled to meet him in the large filtration plant in 2 hours. She goes to meet Robin alone while Maru is staying behind. In the Takahara Academy, the students are running to save themselves from the falling debris and blasts. Mimahime, Shiro, Taka, and Anzu decide to go outside the school. The director reveals that she can run as she escapes through a series of explosions. Sakota forgets about the identity of Tokyo's children as they are mixed up. There is no way to identify them as they look all the same. Meanwhile, Robin is talking with Kuriko and reveals the circumstances that lead him to this place, whilst Kuriko also reveals the truth about herself to him. Kuriko has so many questions, but Robin tells her to take it as in take both. After she takes a shower, she realizes that her clothes are gone. She calls out to Robin, but Robin tells her to just come to the room. Robin ties up Kuriko despite her will and continues to inappropriately touch her. He makes her question if she is actually Haruki or if it is his sister. If Robin touches her, would it be considered touching her or Haruki? Robin points out to Haruki and tells him to watch while he will rape her sister. Meanwhile, the students go out of the school and are mesmerized by the sky, which they initially think of as a really high ceiling. That's all for today. How do you think the story of Heavenly Delusion proceeds from this point? If you are angry at Robin like me, then don't worry, as Maru beats the living hell out of Robin. Let us know in the comments down below about your thoughts on this anime. Do leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.